Hello, students. I welcome you all to another session of improvement in crop or food resources, basically. So, here we'll talk about the crop protection. Now, why do crop need protection? Okay, so crop need protection at first of all at different stages because obviously we want our yield to be or our product to be maximized to feed all the people or individuals present on this planet, and also to not let it waste, because obviously a lot of hard work is there and we want to feed each mouth, right? So now to maximize the food production we must start from the very beginning. Okay, we must from the start from the field itself. So when you are growing crops on field, also a lot of pests, a lot of insects can start feeding upon them, or microorganisms can infect them. So to we have to protect the growing crops. Then while harvesting also, we should carefully collect the crop so that we won't lose the yield. Okay, we won't reduce the yield. And lastly, storage. So we have to store if we are growing one kind of crop. Okay, then for about an year, if it is seasonal, we have to keep that, right? So to store that for a long period of time, so that we won't be, there won't be any scarcity of food when we need it. So that's why we have to store it very properly, away from moisture, away from rodents and all kinds of pesticides, right? Pests, sorry, not pesticides. Okay, so so that the nutritional value will also be maximum, and we won't lose the quantity as well as the quality of the crops. Okay, or crop yield. Crop yield is significantly affected by pests like insects, mice can enter, right? Fungus can enter there, bacteria, viruses, weeds. While on the crop is there on the field, weeds compete there, and take away all the nutrients from the soil. So then also our crop will become its growth will be stunted. Okay, and improper storage. So all these things, we have to keep in check. Now, types of pests that can damage our crops actually. So it is insects. One second. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it is insects. So locusts are the basically it, okay, locust strips fields bare in hours. Okay, so it will basically, if you're growing a crop and locusts are there, it will bear the crop. It will basically eat up all in hours only. Then grasshoppers, they destroy, they feed upon leaves. Okay, so they'll destroy that. Stem borers tunnel into plants. They will, make tunnels inside the plant itself and weakening them from within. For fungus, if we talk about, so fungi or fungi, that microscopic invader, what it does is basically it causes patches, like orange patches on the leaves of the plants. Now if the patches are being formed, there will be less photosynthesis, and hence if the photosynthesis is less, so what happens is the crop will be, ultimately the yield will be affected. Then there is smut and blight. This is all caused by fungus to our crops. Bacteria and viruses. So bacteria causes wilting. Okay, and mosaic viruses create malted leaves patterns like this again, reducing the photosynthesis efficiency. Rodents, what they do is basically they start consuming or feeding upon that and contaminate, and they comes from a lot of dirty places and areas, so that can cause, if we eat on the crops which are already being fed to these rodents and birds, that can cause us several kind of diseases. So that's why we have to take care of our crops at different stages. Now, how we can control it? How can we control the pests? So there are two to three types of controls. We'll see together what these are. So first is chemical control. Here we use, for pesticides, for pests, we use pesticides to kill the pests. For fungus, we use fungicides or fungicides. For insects, insecticides. And for herbs, like, weeds and all, herbicides. Examples are DDT, malathion, and Bordeaux mixture. Now, these, chemical controls can be very, very harmful. So, there is a place in Kerala, Kasargod. Okay, and in Kasargod, you can study about the case, a case where how these harmful things, or even, there is a writer, I'm unable to recall that. So in English, I think for NCRTs only, we have read a chapter. No, not in English NCRT. Okay. not there. I'm so sorry. But the thing is, somebody has written about it, and a lot of people actually talks about it, that how it can enter our system, our DNA, and disrupt it, causing a lot of problems. Like, these things actually, when it enters our, cycle, or our cells, they can disrupt our whole cell cycle. Okay, and end up causing us limbless, kids, or kids with a lot of problems and diseases. So this can be very, very harmful. Okay, I will discuss the effects of it later in our, regular classes. There are very interesting, case studies. I'll share that with you in our classes, okay, for just more knowledge, okay. Now, advantages is it acts very fastly, and because anything which is chemical acts very fastly, okay. Highly, you can say, effective and easy to apply. Toxic, residues are there in the food because of that, if you're using it, and causes environmental damage, and also your in system in your body, if it is entering, it is causing some sort of damage over a period of time. Okay, pest resistant over a period of time. So pests actually, if you are like feeding them same thing or same sort of, chemicals over a period of time, they become resistant to it. So even after a certain point of time, it won't affect them. Okay, so that can happen with chemical control. For biological control, if we talk about, so there are natural predators which we can introduce into the systems, or parasite or disease causing organism. Okay, so for example, ladybird beetles consume aphids. Okay, so we can introduce ladybird beetles in our crops, to our crops, so they can feed upon aphids. Dragonflies control mosquito population. So that's how we can use one biological, living creature to control the other one. Bacillus thuringiensis, bacteria kills caterpillars. So BT cotton, you might have heard. If not, we'll study about it later, that how BT cotton was made. Okay, now environmentally safe, sustainable, and no toxic residue. So this is much better. Then again, we will use it integrated manner. Okay, so a holistic approach would be that biological control should be used, and limited chemical applications also, because we want it to act fast, right? So we can use limited chemical applications, or limited chemical, pesticides, fungicides, but as well as some biological control. We can do some cultural practices like crop rotation, timing, and mechanical controls like traps and barriers, so that we can ensure our crop is protected. Okay, right. Now, what about weeds? So there are a lot of kind of weeds. Like for example, amaranthus. This is cholai. In Hindi, it is called cholai. Cholai ka saag also, you might have heard. Competes aggressively for nitrogen. So its need is nitrogen, and if your plant also needs nitrogen, this will end up taking more nitrogen, and your plant growth will be stunted. Okay. Then this is chenopodium, that is bathua. Bathua ka saag produces thousands of seeds, a lot of seeds, and more, weeds will be there. Like this is weed, this is weed, these are weeds, this is crop, weed, right? So now this weed will be more and more, and hence taking up all the nutrients from the soil. Parthenium, gajar ghas, you might have seen this, ghas everywhere. So what happens? This causes allergies and skin irritation as well. So problems which are caused by weed is that they compete for everything, for water, for sunlight, for nutrients, for space with the this, you can say, your plants. Okay, and also reduces crop yield to 30 to 4. Obviously, if they are taking more and more space and all the nutrients, the crop will be, the crop yield will be decreased, and harbor pests and disease causing organisms. And they have a lot of, bacteria, viruses, pests on it, which will grow on, or pass on to our healthy plants as well. Okay, so how can we control weed? We do not want weed. Okay, so there are mechanical methods. You can hand weed, you can pluck weeds with your hand. Okay, hoeing and tilling. So you can use, hoe and, tilling, tools to take it out. Mechanical cultivators and straw mulch barriers. So these are few methods which will be discussed detail in a session. Okay, and for small farming or for small gardening areas, you can do this. Okay, chemical methods are weedicides again, 2,4-D, atrazine, then pre-emergence herbicides, post-emergent herbicides. Before, any herbicides is being emerged, you can use this. And if it has emerged, then you can do this. Okay, apply during early growth stages, follow safety guidelines. So again, chemical is there, so it is going to cause some harm to your plants, or the chemical can enter the soil and ultimately your plants, and that is why it's not such a healthy way to do it. And cropping practices, crop rotation, intercropping, cover crops, and proper spacing will cause less and less, weeds. And if the weeds grow, you can easily remove them without any kind of problem. Now, importance of proper grain storage. Okay, so if we talk about, let's say, the grain, okay, to store. So proper storage, what it will prevent, why we are doing so, we are putting things in airtight containers and everything, and why we are refrigerating our cooked food. So here also, why and how we are saving it. So why we are doing it, because pests can attack our the crops anytime. So to save it from insects, rodents, and rodents would be mice and all. Okay, the one burrows dug inside the ground, you can say, and birds. Okay, fungal contamination that provides harmful toxins to our crop yield. Moisture damage leading to sprouting or rotting of the crop can happen, and nutrient loss due to biochemical changes. So this is why we are protecting or providing it with proper storage. What if like we are storing it in a good way? Then obviously maintain seed viability for the next planting season. Suppose you have saved enough seeds and you are using consumed, okay, and this is what you eat every day, yet you end up saving some seeds. So this you can grow again, okay, if the seeds are viable, it's good enough, okay, preserves nutritional quality for consumption. Okay, then follow allows farmers to sell when prices are favorable, because obviously it is good, so everybody will be ready to buy it, reduces food waste and increases food security. So in developing countries, actually post harvest losses are a lot due to poor storage, and can reach up to 20 to 30% of total grain production. So imagine how many people can you feed with that kind of percentage of food being wasted. Okay, so that's why it is important to store it in a better manner. Okay, so how you can store these food? So you can store traditionally. Okay, so the storage structures are clay pots and containers, bamboo baskets you can make like this, right? And wooden boxes, elevated granaries, and underground pits lined with straw. So this is the way, the storage method. And you can add some neem. So neem actually has some antibacterial properties which will help your crop do not grow much kind of fungal or bacterial pests there. And then you can talk about microorganisms there, basically wood ash coating to repel insects. Okay, so that you can do. You can add turmeric powder as antimicrobial agents are there in that, and vegetable oils to seal the green surface so that nothing can enter here. Okay, but here are limitations, that it cannot prevent from the moisture to happen, okay, or rodent to reach these spaces, because they can feed upon it. Clay pot, they can be broken easily, right? So now comes the modern storage method, that is metal silos or warehouse like this. You can see that temperature and humidity control facilities are there in this airtight seals. Okay, then chemical treatments, you can use fumigants like methyl bromide. Again, this is important. And phosphine or phosphine gases eliminate pests in large storage areas. Okay, so we use fumigants. And diatomaceous earth provides non-toxic protection. So this is another biological factor, but has chemical nature. Then cold storage, refrigeration again helps, okay, in keeping some sort of crops protected. And monitoring system, you can monitor it, like the temperature, moisture, you can check, and if there is a need, you can change or again make it better. Okay, now if we talk about safe seed storage, so why special storage for seeds? Let's talk about that. Because unlike grain, for consumption, seeds may remain alive and viable. Okay, because until the time comes, it stays like this, and then it can be planted. So if you do not store them properly, it will end up losing its viability. Okay, so that's why you control its temperature, and most seeds are like stored at 5 degrees Celsius, that is 41 Fahrenheit, with low humidity. Humidity should be less. Again, if humidity is more moisture, and seed will end up losing its viability. Then moisture management, seed should be dried. Okay, so moisture shouldn't be there, like I told you, to 3 to 7% moisture content. And Lastly, oxygen reduction. Vacuum or nitrogen filled stores causes slow aging because oxygen causes aging. Okay. So seed banks are there, like Valbadar Global Seed Vault is there in Norway, stores around 1 million seed samples from around the world. Okay, as insurance against catastrophic crop failure. If something happens in the world, so you can go back here, and this millions of seeds will help us regrow all the crops which we used to eat before that catastrophe. Okay, so this is what is, the summary is. We talked about pests, weeds, storage. We talked about its problem, how we can solve it, some examples of, pests, weeds, and how we can store it. Okay, we talked about traditional and modern method, right? So with this, let's do some questions. So which is the safest method of pest control? Pesticides, integrated pest management, weedicide, fumigation. They are talking about pests. Remember that. Okay. Now name one biological pest control example. This you can name by yourself. I haven't given any option because you have to name it. And sorry, which modern structure is used for safe grain storage? Bamboo bins, metal silos, open pits, and earthen pots. Okay, so you have to talk about the modern structure. Okay, with this, thank you so much for joining the session. If you have any doubt, you can contact me on my Urban Pro profile, and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.